Anxiety is a big topic, and there are many levels to it. There is a simple anxiety, like everyday anxiety, and there is a deep, deep, deep-seated anxiety. And sometimes it is very difficult to recognize which one it is, because sometimes people have anxiety for their whole life, and you feel like this is something terrible from childhood, this is something deep-seated, but actually you do simple let's say endocrine treatments for autonomic nervous system, and it dissipates, and it's a huge relief. Sometimes you do need to resort to conflict resolution therapies and to deeper means. Sometimes you need to go in deeper than that, and you need to really go into this advanced stuff of recent years I was talking about. Because sometimes what we say, we bring something with us, and this is so elusive that you really need to go into deeper layers of being, of this human being who is suffering from anxiety, in order to resolve it. So let's start with something very, very, very simple. Generally, anxiety is a problem with endocrine system, hormonal system. Something is a little bit out of balance, and our endocrine system is working either in a mode of deficiency, and so it doesn't produce enough hormones or enough or proper combination of hormones, and that creates a disbalance, and that creates a constant sort of movement between something and something, and people are more anxious about, shall I do this, shall I do that, shall I go? So it's more beginning of internal conflict anxiety, sometimes a non-specific anxiety, sometimes it is anxiety in certain situations. So they all fall under this umbrella of endocrine insufficiency, or what is called in acupuncture Qi deficiency. Now, every endocrine treatment, starting with basic endocrine treatment, is going to help with that, done long term. And by long term, I don't mean that you need to do endocrine treatment for like several years in a row, but you do need to give a person a decent amount of treatment back to back to see the effect. So for example, if you're talking about basic endocrine, don't do basic endocrine every day, but do them a couple of times a week, let's say for a month, and see what kind of results you will get with that. And this is not too hard, because it will only take 15 minutes if you know the treatment. I found myself that there are two treatments which always work with anxiety. So first is called, in School of Awakening time, it used to be called emotional freakout treatment. And you probably both know this treatment. This is a triangle with do26, stomach ones, and the central point. And you can do it in spectral colors, you can do it in soul spirit colors. And I had many wonderful, wonderful, wonderful results with this treatment. Now, it is considered to be more of acute treatment, acute situation management treatment. So, for example, somebody is really emotionally freaking out, they are really, really beyond themselves, and then you give them this treatment and they calm down. The only thing here is you really do need to be careful with those points, because they're close to the eyes, and if somebody moves wildly, you need to just take precautions that basically you don't harm them. What I found also, that simple rose color on little fingers help. So if somebody is in emotional distress, what I would do first, I would do rose on little fingers, and then I will do this triangle, probably in soul spirit colors, because it will be much quicker, and then they will calm down. More on a long-term basis, it's better to do it in spectral colors, because spectral colors will actually build up the ability of endocrine system to respond properly, because points, they're all acupuncture points, they all have something to do with functioning of the brain, functioning of pituitary gland, and they're really, over time, they build up a proper capacity of our body to produce hormones which are needed to maintain a calm sort of situation and proper balancing of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. And sometimes this particular treatment also is fantastic when there is an opposite situation opposite to anxiety. People are so close, they're The emotions are so pent up and they cannot release them. So they're tense, and anxiety is so internalized that sometimes you can see it, but sometimes you don't. And once I actually gave myself this treatment, I was in the middle of a really, really, really difficult situation, and I couldn't react at the time because there was a lot of people and situation was really complex, and I really seriously didn't know what to do. So for me, it was difficult. And I had to drive somewhere. I had my set with me, of course, because it always travels with me. So I was driving, and I remember I was driving up north. So I left Manchester, and then I thought, this is just not going to work. I'm full of the something which I just cannot, I can physically drive, but this is not the state I want to be. So I stopped at the nearest service station, and I just did this triangle, nothing more. And immediately I burst into tears. I just cried and cried and cried and cried. And that was it. And I immediately moved out of it and I drove off. That was actually quite amazing experience. So all my body needed at the time was to just acknowledge on a bodily level what I was experiencing inside. And somehow that resolved the whole tension. And it gave me actually keys to practical resolution of the situation I was in, and then everything was fine. So I would use this treatment both ways, and this is really, really, really fantastic little treatment.